Hello makers and welcome to Spectiva Studios. It's good to have you here. Now as a paper artist, one of the things I often run into is the need to cut paper that is a fairly precise size. For example, I'm creating strips for a project and I want them to be consistent and maybe I want them to be 2 inches wide. And the challenge I run into with some of the traditional materials that I have to cut paper is that the precision really isn't there. Let me share with you what I'm talking about. So I have here a fairly affordable paper cutter. This is an Amazon Basics paper cutter. And the challenge I would run into if I wanted to cut strips of paper here is I would take something like this piece of paper and I would slide it in and I would try to align it best I could with the lines that are here or with the markings that are consistent up here. And I'll just tell you from experience, I can sit here and slice that and think, all right, that's pretty good, but if I compare the different slices I make, they're not going to be quite the same. And so this is a problem. One of the challenges, again, if I want to be able to create strips that are all 1 inch wide or 2 inches wide or anything like that, is I want to make sure I have that consistency. And frankly, by sliding the paper in and eyeballing it, that's not going to get me there. So I'm going to show you a quick solution, something I had to kind of work out myself to figure out a way to get that consistency. And it starts with taking a standard piece of your cardstock, whatever you want to do. And I'm going to use this as a guide. I'm basically going to create a ruler using my ruler. Let me show you what this is going to do. Let me push this out of the way for a second. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here, I'm going to measure out how wide I want the strip that I'm going to be cutting to be. And let's just say for the sake of argument, I want it to be 2 inches. So I'm going to come in here and using my ruler and a pencil, I'm going to come in here very carefully. And this is something that's worth taking your time on to make sure you get the precision that you want. So that's going to be 2 inches there. I'll do the same thing on this outer edge. Just get there and looks good and right there. All right, now I'm just going to connect those lines to one another. We should have something that's going to work pretty nicely and give us a 2 inch marker here. And finally, so I now have something, as you hopefully can see, that has the line on it. And I'm just going to double, triple check my work and make sure that that's exactly what I want. It comes in at 2 inches, and I'm going to check it top and bottom, make sure I didn't skew my line at all. All right, that looks pretty good. Now, if that's the width of the piece of papers, or I'm assuming more than one piece of paper that I want to cut, that's going to be perfect. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this with my paper cutter, and I'm going to take an object that will serve as a flat edge. Now I have a very affordable wooden ruler here, and it has a good flat edge on it. And I'm going to use that as my foundation on the other side. A couple things. I'm going to grab some painter's tape here, and I'm just going to put a little bit at the top of my ruler, and let's put some at the bottom of my ruler. And that's just going to allow us to kind of focus on how to get this stuff to happen. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lift my cutting arm, and I'm going to slide my piece of measured cardstock in here. What I'm doing here is I'm looking at how the line that's cut on this piece of cardstock is setting up with the actual cutting blade itself. So I'm kind of looking down the cutting blade right now, and I'm going to move the ruler in and out. Now, in this case, up here at the top, it's perfect. I'm going to tape that down temporarily. Down here at the bottom, it actually has to come in about, well, 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to give that a little bit of a push, bring it right perfectly right about there, and then nail that down right there. And again, I want to take some time to be consistent, so let me just slide this back in and again, check it. It looks pretty good there from a consistency standpoint, and from there from a consistency standpoint. All right, so I'm feeling pretty comfortable with that. And again, I can see my demarcation here on the cutting board itself, and I can see that I'm pretty much right on the 2 inch mark. So probably close to the right place. Now I'm going to take a little bit more of my tape, and I'm going to make sure that the ruler is basically just stuck down. I'm going to run it along the back line of my ruler here, and then I'm just going to kind of again, holding the ruler in place, I'm going to just crease that. Just get this so that it's not going to go anywhere. I want it to stay pretty firm. And there, it's nice and firm. And now, once that's done, guess what? The consistency that I've been craving and not getting from just trying to eyeball this thing every time you put it in is there. And now when I take a piece of my cardstock, let's say we have some black in here, I can simply slide it in here. It's going to come and hit my block. Again, I can use one hand to hold the block down and hold the paper down with a finger like this. And then I slice it off. Now again, I'm going to want to confirm this is doing what I want. So if I come in here and say, yep, that is exactly 2 inches top, That is exactly 2 inches bottom. Perfect. And now, again, to repeat the process, just drop another piece of paper in, slide it up against the block, and now when I start comparing my pieces of paper and stack them, they're identical in shape and size. Now again, it's a simple tip, but I'll be honest with you, it's one of those things that can be very frustrating if you're trying to make consistent cuts and you're getting somewhat slightly, and it doesn't have to be a lot, but if you're off by a 32nd of an inch or a 16th of an inch between your pieces, when you're trying to create something later on, your work's not going to line up, and it could be very frustrating and not give you the results you want. So again, a simple tip this week, a little DIY hack for you to work on. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting. We drop a video every single week. We'd love to have you be part of what we do if you're interested in learning more about abstract art, creation, DIY tools like today, and just kind of figuring out how to make some really cool stuff without having to put a lot of work into it. That's maybe what we're doing here. Anyway, I hope you had a good time. I'm Spider, and I'll talk to you next time.